for effective climate responsive urban planning, and also for governance. And these competencies are then used to develop a competency framework that that reflects the needs of different governance functions, from frontline officials to technical staff to managers and decision makers. Based on this framework, we conduct a capacity needs assessment that allows participants to reflect on their current competency levels. And the results help us also identify priority areas for capacity development and inform the design of targeted learning programs. And this includes the training workshops that many of you attended, but they also extend beyond the training through initiatives such as curriculum development with universities, trainer of trainers programs, and other mechanisms that you will learn more about, and that support long-term institutional training. In, in other words, the objective is not simply to organize workshops, but to contribute to building a sustainable learning ecosystem that enables local governments to continuously strengthen their capacities over time. Today's webinar is an important contribution to that vision because it demonstrates that learning is already being shared beyond the original participants. And as part of this process, I would now like to invite all of you to complete the capacity needs assessment that we are launching today. This assessment is not an examination. It is not intended to evaluate individual performance. Rather, it's a self-assessment that will help us understand the current strengths and the capacity development needs of local government professionals like yourselves working in Zambia. And the results will provide valuable evidence for designing future learning opportunities that respond to your actual professional needs and institutional priorities, and responding to actual local challenges. Your participation is therefore essential here. The more perspectives we gather, the better we can ensure that future capacity development activities are relevant, practical, responsive to the realities faced by local governments across the country. I am going to copy here in the chat the link to the capacity needs assessment. And just give me 1 second for me to get access to the chat. I just shared it for you to kindly click on it. And we will enable, what do you say, Albert, about 10 minutes to complete it? So once
Yes.
Yes, 10 minutes is fine?
Yeah,
Thank you.
we can allow 10 minutes to have it completed, and I'll be checking on everybody.
Thank you so much. So once you have completed the assessment, we will continue with today's webinar, where your colleagues will share the knowledge and experiences gained during the workshop and through their own experience. And yes, before I conclude, I would once again like to congratulate the Local Governments Association of Zambia and all the presenters. One of the most important indicators of successful capacity development is that participants become multipliers of knowledge. By organizing this webinar series, you are demonstrating exactly that. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the session, and now I invite you to complete the capacity needs assessment before we continue with today's program. Over to you, Albert.
Thank you very much, Dr. Diaz. Colleagues, I will, at this point, just allow us to quickly take the quiz. I think 10 minutes will be okay. I'm just looking at the two myself, and I think we should be able to finalize, and I think within 5 minutes, Pamela. So once you're done, just quickly give me a thumbs up so that we quickly get into our next presentation and discussion. So the time starts now. Thank you. So, colleagues who are just joining, there's a link that Pamela has shared in the chat. That is the exercise that we are doing at the moment. Kindly take time to just complete that survey. Once done, you just give me a thumbs up. Can I get an indication of how many have completed so far? Just give me a thumbs up.
What is the main governance agreement related challenging
To colleagues who are joining, look out for the survey link in the chat. That is what we are currently doing. If you can just quickly take that survey, and once complete, again, just indicate with a thumbs up. Thanks, Pamela. We've received 3 responses so far, waiting for colleagues to complete. I've just admitted 2 more colleagues, just to keep you up to speed. We are currently conducting a survey. If you can just look out for the link in the chat, and begin taking that survey as soon as possible. Pamela, may I give maybe 5 more minutes for colleagues? I see our 10 minutes is up.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, I'll just keep 5 more minutes and then we move on to the next item.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have quite a number of submissions that have come through. Can you just confirm that, Pamela?
Indeed, we have 9 submissions so far. So thank you so much for this. This is really valuable information.
Okay, wonderful. Colleagues, I will encourage you to continue making your submissions in the background as we move on to the next presentation. As already indicated in my introduction, would like to call on our next presenter who will take us through the discussion for the day, Ms. Walia Funga. I will be sharing your presentation right now. But like I've already mentioned, you for colleagues who have not completed the survey, you may be doing that in the background as the presentation is taking place. We will be monitoring with Pamela in the background. If you have any challenges, just drop the message in the chat as the presentation is happening. Ms. Funga, over to you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, colleagues. I'm sorry I have to keep my video off because of the internet, but I'd also like to thank the Local Government Association for this opportunity. So my presentation is based on the training that we got from UN Habitat and IHS, and thank you to Dr. Diaz for that training and the team. I will be looking at local government's indicators and frameworks for local authority. I'm so sorry, I'm going to align this to local authority. We can go to the next slide. So basically, we need to understand what governance is, and governance goes beyond local authorities. It includes actors who influence decisions and service delivery. For example, a simple market upgrade, for example, requires engagement of the council committees, the traders, the residents, the utilities, the contractors, government departments. This requires meaningful participation. So when we look at governance, it is very participatory in nature, and it requires that the different actors should participate in the process. We can go to the next slide.
You can go ahead, Walia. Well, it seems to have fallen off. She will be getting back shortly. Just let me try to get her back up. You can go ahead, Walia. Welcome back. We lost you there.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so the types of governance that we have political and economic governance. This covers decisions that of elected oversight on economic addresses such as budgeting, revenue collection, procurement processes that sustain service delivery. The other type of governance that we have is the environmental, social, and urban governance. This looks at governance that manages waste, the drainage, the green spaces. Social governance also ensures inclusion of the marginalized groups, and urban governance guides us on land use, infrastructure, and public services. So as local authority, we operate over the 5 types of governance. These play a critical role when it comes to district law in shaping services and also delivery of these services. The way we manage resources as local authorities and also the way we engage communities is also important when it comes to governance. We can go to the next slide. So some of the levels of governance, we have the national, the local and community levels of governance. And at national level, we have the Ministry of Local Government that is managing the local authorities. And here, national level sets the policies and decentralization frameworks that guides how resources and responsibilities are distributed among its local authorities. When we come to local authority level, here we are working around having the integrated development plans and local area plans that translate into national policies, into accountable and local strategies. So right now, the government has decentralized, and this is being implemented by us, the local authorities. The other level of governance is the community, where we have the WDC as the lowest level of governance, whose responsibility is to identify the neighborhood priorities and also ensure that there's community participation and consultation that is happening at the community levels to ensure that it's inclusive and also effective governance outcomes. So these levels of governance are what has helped local authorities to operate. And another example that I can give is that from national policy to action, this requires that the different levels of governance do their part. So for example, if we are working on a drainage work, like the way we're working on a drainage work in Kanyama, this required coordination across the different levels of governance, where we had national governance, the Ministry of Local Government, who were spearheading the upgrading of Kanyama, but we also had the local authorities and other stakeholders participate to ensure that those plans were implemented. Through this process, we also made sure that the communities also participated in this process. We can go to the next slide. So how do we measure governance? So it is important for us to know how we are performing. So local authorities need to make sure that the key indicators need to be assessed on performance. The quality and influence of the community input matters more than the quantity of the collaborations held. So participation is not merely calling the communities to be part of the meetings, but they should effectively participate. They should understand what you are discussing and provide meaningful participation. This also ensures that there's equity, there's accountability, there's effectiveness, and also there's the different social groups participate, such as women, youth, persons living with disabilities are also part of this meeting. So planning and transparent indicators are very important. You look at the percentage of applications processed on time, the percentage of council decision publicly endorsed. This means that when you're making decisions at the local authority, you need to make sure that the communities also participate and endorse those decisions. Also, the percentage of complaints resolved within 30 days and the budget implementation rate. When it comes to inclusion and satisfaction indicators, we look at the number of women, youths, persons with disabilities who are consulted in your processes when it comes to planning and decision making. And you also look at the resident satisfaction with services, the influence of community input in the final decision. When we're developing our IDPs, did we do proper consultation at the priorities that are reflected in these integrated development plans, reflecting what the communities want? So those are the things that we need to use when we have to measure governance. We can go to the next slide. So there are some worldwide indicators when it comes to governance and frameworks that are used. So the global framework measure governance across 5 key dimensions. That's the transparency practices, such as publishing the fees and services requirements, the direct reduce informal payments and build public trust in local authority. And I should mention that as Lusaka City Council, we recently launched the payment portal where people can access services and make payments. Are you able to hear me? Sorry.
Yes, I can get you. We can get you. Just go ahead.
Okay. Where people can access public services and also know how much they're paying for that service. And this is using a USSD code for those that are not using smartphones. And for those that are using smartphones, they can download the app. So this creates accountability and effectiveness, because I think from the time that we started using that platform, we've seen that there's an increase in revenue collection, because one, people are able to access that information on their phones and easily make those payments. So when it comes to voice accountability and governance effectiveness, you need to look at how do we measure this? You measure this through resident involvement in decisions. You should have community engagement meetings where issues that are affecting the communities are discussed, and people can have those, they can participate in those meetings. And also that also provides for consensus building between you, the local authority, and the community when it comes to providing the services, and also prioritizing what is important to them. So governance effectiveness assesses timely quality service delivery, and also regulatory quality evaluates clarity and consistent enforcement in rules at the local level. When it comes to the rule of law and control of corruption, the rule of law ensures regulations are applied consistently and fairly. You need to make sure this is applied. You need to control corruption. Control of corruption promotes transparency in procurement and land allocation. Publishing approved fees and procedures reduces opportunities for informal payments. Sorry. So as we also communicate with our communities or our residents, we need to make sure that all the fees and procedures are published on our different platforms. We can go to the next slide. So when it comes to comparing governance indicators, governance performance is a multidimensional one. Strength in one area does not compensate for weaknesses in others. So as authority, we must assess dimensions together to achieve accountability and equitable service delivery. So you need to look at the revenue versus the participation. As a local authority may show strong revenue collection rates, yet poorly on citizen participation. So your revenue could be very high, but you're not really engaging the citizen. And as I mentioned earlier, when it comes to the key areas, when it comes to governance, there should be participation, equity, accountability, and effectiveness. So as much as you would have a lot of revenue being collected, you need to make sure that there's high participation and decision-making processes that reflect the people's priorities to address inequalities. So when it comes to meetings versus implementation, also you need to look at how many consultations and meetings may be held. In most cases, I think from experience, sometimes we look at community engagement as a process that drags the process when it comes to implementing and planning for our cities. But these are very important. So you need to plan for community engagement meetings, and this should be reflected in all your processes. And this will help you also identify the priorities that remain unimplemented. I would give an example that we had a project in Kanyama where we had engineers recommend on how a drainage system was supposed to be done, but because there was poor community engagement, the water was flowing over the drainage. So some of these solutions that we look at and priorities lie in these communities. So community engagement is very important for us to also prioritize. So that should be also prioritized in our operations. We can go to the next slide. So when you look at the corruption index, the corruption index also emphasizes that they should be transparent in how we provide our services. And there's an index that is used that we can share a link and see how we are doing as a country. But in line with our local authorities, we need to make sure that we reduce corruption by publishing service fees and eligibility criteria, especially when we are maybe advertising for land, for procurement works or services that need procurement. We also require auditable payment records for all approvals, payments, and market allocations to reduce informal payments and favoritism. Sorry. We also need to ensure that when it comes to procurement and land risks, there's no manipulation of procurement processes and unauthorized land allocation to undermine the fair governance. So informal payments for approvals or favoritism in market spaces erode public confidence. So if we're going to advertise for land, we make sure that everyone is subjected to the same criteria, and those that qualified are given the land. I'm so sorry, I've got a cough. We can go to the next slide. So when we come to the Economics Intelligence Unit governance indicators, this framework applies to governance indicators for local planning, participation, which includes accessible information, contribution of priorities, and meaningful feedback on decisions, enabling responsive, accountable local authorities. So this also focuses on the fact that they need to assess political participation. Are your mayors, are your councillors also participating? The respect for civil rights and community voice in decision making. For example, if we're preparing a local area plan, you make sure you involve community engagement. You have the meaningful engagement that demonstrates citizen contribution to governance. So if you're discussing a particular component or issue within the preparation of the local area plans, you make sure that there's meaningful participation and people and the different actors are involved in the process. When it comes to institution responsiveness, this measures how effective local authorities respond to community input. also implement the priorities and uphold the rights. So if we develop a local area plan, we make sure that it's implemented because that also reflects the community priorities. And we should also be reflected in our budgets. That also shows that there's commitment and institution responsiveness when it comes to upholding and implementing that. So as we implement, we also need to make sure that we have feedback loops after consultations. It doesn't mean that when we go to our communities and consult them once, then that's it. We need to go back and give, we need to have a feedback mechanism where we are able to communicate effectively with the communities and also ensure that there's essential accountability and public trust is built through the same process. We can go to the next slide. When it comes to the governance index, there are 5 core principles that guide local authorities in the governance index. We also need to ensure that there is effective and equitable participation. Effective and equitable participation in the process that we ensure that we have reliable services that are being provided. There's equity, prioritizing underserved groups or informal settlements. There's participation, residents engage before a plan is approved. And when it comes to accountability and security, accountability, we need to publish budgets and implementation reports, building trust at community level as well, or public level. When it comes to security, we need to ensure that we improve lighting, maybe safe public spaces, protect all community members. So the Urban Governance Index has the 5 principles, which is effectiveness, equity, participation, accountability, and security. We can go to the next slide. So when it comes to governance and development implementation, I had mentioned earlier that most of the districts are developing their IDPs, the Integrated Development Plan, and this sets the long-term direction for the city. And the local area plans also translate in strategic priorities into concrete actions at neighborhood level or ward level. So governance mechanisms must enable that there is effective planning, stakeholder coordination, and sustainable partnerships. The integrated plans that we have should not be only plans that we shelf or showcase that we've done a plan, but they should be plans that we should be able to use not only to implement the community priorities, but also sometimes we find that these plans have a very high budget. We can also use the IDPs to mobilize resources and also make to partner with other institutions. There's also been a misconception that the local authorities are the owners of the IDPs, but we also, because of we need to also make other actors and stakeholders at district level to understand that the integrated development plan is a district plan, and all the stakeholders and organizations and institutions and communities also have a stake in making sure that it's being implemented and also provide both human and financial resources toward the implementation. So another example that I had given here was for Lusaka, we have a food desk coordination system. This amplifies multi-sectorial coordination. It brings in different departments, it brings in different institutions, academia, the residents and agencies that align with the governance of service delivery to make sure that we have a system, a food system within the district that is functional and also ensures that our population has access to good food and safe food. We can go to the next slide. So governance has gaps and challenges. Some of the common governance gaps and challenges are weaknesses that undermine local authority performance. For example, if a drainage project failed due to lack of community input on water flow and waste management, this highlights how governance gaps in participation lead to costly implementation of failures. Sometimes we've seen that a walkway is done to reduce accidents, but people do not. People still do not use that bridge, the walk bridge. So that also demonstrates a gap and a challenge when it comes to governance. When it comes to planning and resources, in terms of gaps, plans approved without adequate budgets for implementation, that's also a gap. Incomplete land and property records hinder decision making and limited site office resources, reduce oversight and capacity. So as much as we would have plans in place, we should also have budgets that align to make sure that these plans are being implemented. When it comes to coordination, departments working in silos is also another challenge when it comes, or gap when it comes to governance. I had mentioned that there are different tiers of governance, levels of governance. There's national, there's global, national, local, and community levels. So as much as we have these different tiers, we also have institutions that are working in these tiers. So we need to make sure that we do not work in silos. And also there's a challenge where sometimes institutions do not want to share information with other institutions. So this also creates a governance gap. There's also overlapping of institutional responsibilities. This creates confusion and delays. So lack of interdepartmental coordination weakens service delivery. Sometimes this also happens within the local authorities where the different departments are under one local authority, but they're not working together. So imagine if everyone is working together, it means that you have a pool of not only financial, but also human resource, and you achieve more. When it comes to participation and monitoring, community participation, community consultation conducted too late to influence a design. Sometimes you create a design and you realize that you needed the community to participate, and you go back. That also creates a weakness or a gap. So weak post project monitoring fails to capture outcomes. So all the marginalized groups excluded from key planning decisions. So there are certain structures that have been erected by either local authority or other institutions where they realize that, oh, we forgot to put a RAM, and they start going back, but that should have been done at initial design and planning stage. So these are some of the gaps that we can identify in our governance structures or systems. You can go to the next slide. How do we overcome some of these governance challenges? The first one is transparency and participation. We make sure that we publish fees, procedures are clearly spelled out. We have budgets that align with our plans, and also we provide project updates. We also need to engage the ward development committees and the community groups early before decisions are made. Here we apply the gender equality and social inclusion assessment to ensure women, youth, and persons with disabilities are represented. We also need to make sure that coordination and capacity is done. So you establish a platform where the different departments can discuss and work together. So establish interdepartmental technical working groups to reduce silos. You need to train your councillors, you train planners, and also community staff to prepare for bankable projects to strengthen resource mobilization and attract departmental funding. You also need to monitor and assess accountability. Here you introduce quarterly governance scorecards to track performance. This is being done where we provide maybe weekly, monthly, and quarterly reports. That also helps us to monitor and provide accountability. So we can go to the next slide. And it also helps us to measure the outcomes. So I've got, sorry. So the Zambian group activity, so we have 5 indicators that we can identify. Maybe we can, I don't know, Albert, are we able to break into groups?
Up to you. What would work best for you? I think maybe we can do this collectively, Walia. Hello? I seem to have lost Walia. I will be getting her back up. But I think the best approach to the exercise is we can do this collectively as one group, and let me just admit her back again. Just give me a second. All right, colleagues. Wale is still struggling with her network, but she will be coming on board. So we have that exercise before us, and she's requesting that we examine the 5 indicators: the world governance indicators, corruption perception index, democracy index, freedom in the world, and urban governance index. And for each, she wants us to identify what it measures. Does it reflect Zambia's governance condition? Can it measure municipal performance? What does it overlook? What local indicators should be added to it? So I will be sharing shortly the link to these key indicators. Just give me a second. I'll stop sharing for now. As I paste in the chat group. Thanks. Colleagues, sorry about that. I'm still trying to get our presenter back online. In the meantime, as we wait, you may continue filling in the survey. I've pasted the link there on the chat. But she will be joining just in a few seconds. Okay, welcome back, Walia. You can proceed as I paste the other links on the chat.
I'm so sorry. So I think I don't know where we are, but now my internet is just
No, I was just guiding colleagues. I think we can do the exercise collectively.
okay.
As I may take a bit of time to just do the breakaways, but I think you can take them through the two indexes that we can work on collectively and then proceed from there.
Okay. Albert, I think I'll just present to them the two indexes. So are you able to hear me?
Yes, not a problem. I think you can go ahead.
Okay. So I'll look at the UN Habitat
Hello, are you there? Wala, can you hear us? We can't hear you, Walia. Can you get us? Sorry again, colleagues. I'm trying to bring her back. It seems hey, she's back. Well, can you hear us? All right. Sorry about that, colleagues. I'm still trying to bring her back, but in the interest of time, I think we'll get back to the exercise as she comes back online. At this point, I think she was also actually that should have been a last slide in the presentation before she jumps to the next the closing comments. Yes, I'm actually correct. That was a last slide. At this point, I would just love to invite a few comments, and I will be taking any questions based on the presentation that has just been made. You can just raise your hand to give a comment, your thoughts, and I will be asking a few questions as well because we would like to understand, based on the presentation that has just been made, we would like to know and hear how you are, working around the challenges that have just been presented around governance, inclusive planning, coordination, monitoring, as well as accountability issues from where you are sitting. So at this point, I invite any comments and clarification that I'll take note, and I'll be able to invite Walia to comment on them as she comes back. So the floor is open, colleagues. You can just raise your hand and go ahead and make a submission. While are you back? Yes, go ahead, Francis. Go ahead.
I'm back. Thank you. Maybe you can go ahead and then I can pick it up after.
Yes. I just had to go straight into the Q&A and receive submissions from colleagues. And then once I take note of that, you should be able to come in to clarify on a few things. Then we'll get to your exercise at the end of the Q&A. You can go ahead, Francis.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting presentation. I think there are a number of insights that I've picked up. Just one of the observations, it could be also maybe trying to learn from the experiences from maybe Walia or any other person who would give the experiences concerning participatory planning and governance, how local authorities are managing to play around the political political interference or political influence, especially when it comes to IDPs and local area plans. My observation has been that in as much as the local authorities and also practitioners do their best to maybe engage communities and also make sure that people are participating, when it comes to actual implementation, there's a lot of influence that comes from the political system, if I can put it like that, where most of the programs that could have been identified as priorities by the communities are maybe bulldozed, and maybe it's the councillors or the MPs, they tend to push in their preferred projects. So I don't know how local authorities are playing around that, and how maybe it can be reinforced, because it's like these projects or works, they are more tied to political systems and they are tied to the needs of the community. So just something that I thought maybe how is the experience from maybe one or two local authorities, and could it be a real issue that needs to be addressed?
Okay. Thank you, Francis.
Thank you very much, Francis. I will take two more questions and then I'll allow Wale to just give the response. Very important question there. How do we navigate, the political interference to ensure that we have effective, participation happening at local level? I'll invite a second question and then allow Wale to come in with her responses. Okay, I think you can proceed, Wale, to just answer as colleagues are coming up with questions. Oh, I have one, and there you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Wale, for the presentation that you have made. That has been so insightful. A bit similar to Francis, although in a different angle. I noticed participation kept echoing throughout your presentation, but I wanted to find out what does meaningful participation look like? What have you seen, perhaps, that you are aspiring to or that we should aspire to? Or what is perhaps being advanced elsewhere that we are thinking of? Because it has come out on a number of slides. It has come out as a challenge. It has come out as a way of overcoming the challenge. It has been alluded to in terms of gender, social inclusion, equity, assessment criteria. What exactly do we mean by participation and how does it look like? I think that's what I would like to appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. Wale, over to you.
Thank you so much for the questions. So I'll start with the first questions from Francis, then I'll address Chikondi's question. So Francis, when it comes to participatory planning, I think I'll give the Lusaka experience. What happened was that when we were developing our first local area plans, we had to first engage the politicians as well in the process. And the engagement started from training them on what planning was, how it would look like, how implementation would look like as well for the local area plans. And the idea of bringing them on board is that they own the process. So whatever decisions are being made at each and every level, they are part of that decision-making process. So that somehow helps you navigate through the politics. You also need to be alive to the fact that politicians usually want to see. It's not working. Yeah, so they usually want to see tangible projects that they can point at the end of the term. But we need to make them understand why participation is important. So through the trainings that we had with them and also the engagement we had with them, we had to train them in the whole local area planning process, understand where they came in and how they would contribute to each and every stage. So through that process, we were also able to have them in our planning phases, in our issue identification processes, in our community engagement processes, so that they could see that whatever was being brought out through these processes were not coming from us, the technocrats, but from the communities themselves. And they knew that they understood that once that comes from them, then it would create meaningful impact at that level. So that's how we were able to navigate through those challenges of politics. But sometimes you also need to align the community priorities with the government priorities, or so that you have both a top-up and bottom-up approach in your programming. I think that also helps you navigate through the processes. I hope I've answered your question, Francis.
Yeah. I think it's yes.
Okay. So the second question was, what is participation? What does meaningful participation mean? Meaningful participation does not mean calling people for a meeting to sit in the meeting because I'm male or female or physically challenged. But what meaningful participation means is that I'm able to contribute to the conversations that are happening and also bring out the issues that are affecting me as a person. And I should also be able to make the people that are in that position of making decisions to understand why it's important for my needs to also be included. So it should be respectful, it should be relevant, it should also be impactful when it comes to participation. And that's one of the fundamentals of governance, if it has to be good governance. So that's why participation is very important in governance, because it also helps the different social groups to bring out issues. The way issues affect women, youth, persons with disabilities, the men, is different. So you also need to understand the cultural dynamics when you're handling the different groups, especially at community level. Sometimes you find that when you put women and men in one room, the women will not speak out. So you need to make sure that you get the most out of each and every group when you are doing the community engagement itself. So that's why participation is very key. Madam Chikondi, I hope I've answered your question.
Okay, yes, you have brought out the insights in what you are looking at as important, and that's helpful.
Okay, thank you. How about over to you?
Thank you very much. May I invite more clarifications, questions, if any? You can just put your hand up and I'll invite you to make your submission. As we are waiting for hands, one of the things that you spoke to, Wale, was the challenges that you had brought up was around coordination, particularly interdepartmental coordination, and the danger in working in silos. I mean, how do we navigate, or how do we address that issue, particularly in the work of decentralization, and also considering the uniqueness of local authorities in Zambia? How best do we strengthen coordination as a challenge?
Okay. Thank you, Albert, for that question. So For us, I think what we've done is establish technical working group. If we're working on a particular program or project, we have representation from different departments, and that helps us mainstream what is being prioritized on that program in each and every department, and have each and every department participate through the technical working group that works on a particular issue. For example, we had a technical working group for the local area plan. We have a technical working group for the early childhood development project with representation from different departments. That has helped us to reduce the silos. But I think what is key is that we also need management to understand that we're not competing against each other, but we are there to provide a service to the communities. And we need to work together for one common goal, which is to improve service delivery and provide meaningful services to people. So that's something that needs to also be looked at, and it also strengthens coordination if, let's say, the town clerk ensures that the departments are also working together and all their programs are feeding into each other. So I think that's something that needs to be really emphasized in most of these local authorities. And remember, if a win for Department of Housing is a win for planning, it's a win for the institution. So really, we just need to find a way of working together, and also establishing interdepartmental technical working groups, I think, has helped us as Lusaka. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that answer, Walia. And colleagues, you may type in your comments as well in the comment section as I allow Walia to just speak to her last slide, and she closes off as we wrap up our first session.
Thank you so much. So I would like to close by mentioning that good governance is visible in decision making. It's also visible in resource management and equitable service delivery. And really, all the departments need to work together. You need to ensure that there's transparency, there's accountability. You publish your service standards, you approve the fees, you introduce public complaints tracking, make sure that you have public complaints tracking systems where even the people that you're providing services to are able to give you feedback so that you know which areas to improve. Establish quarterly governance scorecards, feedback boxes maybe in your site offices. Also make sure that there's inclusion and coordination. You have to strengthen participation of women, youth, and persons with disabilities. I spoke about the cultural aspects of sometimes we may not speak in public gatherings where there are men. You make sure that you separate the different groups so that you just understand how they're being affected by certain issues, and make sure that you consult your communities as we develop these plans, strategic plans, local area plans, integrated development plans, so that the community priorities are really reflected. And I think our current government has championed decentralization where power has been given to the people. So we need to see more of top-down and bottom-up kind of planning being implemented as well. And this is also enshrined in our Local Government Act, where community participation is very key when it comes to planning and decision making. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for being patient. I'm so sorry about the internet, but I'm happy that everyone is still here. Thank you, Albert.
Thank you very much, Walia, and we really appreciate your patience. You that was a wonderful presentation and quite insightful. Colleagues, I would like to also take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for making time for our engagement. While I've got a comment in the chart there, if you can just take note as we close off. Yeah, thank you very, very much for taking time to be part of this very, very important and exciting webinar. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners, and that's UN Habitat and IHS, for making it possible and for providing the wonderful and very important tools that we'll be using throughout the webinar series. Before I close off officially, I would like to invite Pamela for a word or two, and also to remind colleagues that you need to complete the survey that we had indicated. We had pasted in the chat group, if not done yet. Pamela, a word or two before we close.
Yes, thank you very much. I just want to thank Walia for her input and all the knowledge and experience that she brought into her presentation and answering the questions. This is the beginning of something beautiful, and I'm really proud to be part of it. Thank you so much for enabling this space, and I wish you the best of success in the upcoming webinar series.
Thank you very much for that. Colleagues, please look out for our series calendar. We will be sharing this in different platforms, and also this will be on our website and our social media platform. We will have other webinars lined up with very interesting and very important topics. We have different presenters will be coming on board. And please let us know how best we can improve on our chats and also our interaction. We're hoping that we'll get a lot of submissions coming through in our next webinar. We'll maintain the link, so do not delete this link. It will be the recurring link for all our upcoming sessions as well. At this point, I would like to thank you once more for taking time to participate, and looking forward to more engagement. Bye for now, and see you next Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you.